Pretty simple. You need to find out what people want, and you need to find a way to deliver it, really. So, sounds simple, but, quite often we do community engagement with community. And what we've learned over our journey, sort of place match element and working in government and working in private sector, is you need to know, like asking the question is an art in itself, because quite often you'll walk out of community workshops and be like, yep, we know all that stuff. What if you say to the community, what do you want? I want vibrancy, I want life on the streets, I want, so it's sort of getting deeper than that to figure out what are the pressure points, what are the barriers, and what are the priorities. And then it's about hooking the community priorities in with state priorities and commercial priorities as well. So that's really about, understanding what people want, but on the flip side also really understanding what drives these people, because ultimately place in a way is a bit of a it's a negotiation game around bringing a lot of conflicting priorities and interests together, whether or not you're talking to a really frustrated retailer on a main street who's been flogging their guts out 7 days a week and is making no money, through to the local council who wanted, who have abolished the alfresco laws but still don't understand why people aren't doing alfresco, and that you actually need to go and put the chairs out for them and bring them in. It's about enabling, not just red taping it. So I think that is a skill that is learned over time and through experience, but more than anything else, it comes back to a people thing, like what's actually driving people. Are they being driven through fear? Are they being driven through perceived lack of opportunity, or etc.? And then sort of bringing all of that back together. And it sounds simple, but a really strong, I won't say vision, but a narrative is really important. A narrative that is going to speak to the people that you're trying to sort of bring on the journey is really important, and that narrative needs to be consistent, but the way you deliver it to a community group is far different than the way you deliver it to a commercial developer, is far different to the way you deliver it to council, to state government, etc. In particular that we worked on, which was sort of highly contentious, was the Three Oceans development in Scarborough, which was the Contatio site, which was permitted for 12 to a maximum of 18 stories, and they got approval for 42 stories on that site. Coming off the back of, I guess that was a really interesting example, because the state government had obviously set the vision for Scarborough and its transformation, and we worked with the MRA on that master plan. But the government knew very clearly that they needed the private sector to ultimately deliver on that vision, because they didn't own all the land. And so we had this scenario where you had a very, enthusiastic, very cashed up, an investor with money, liquid money, who is ready to invest, wants to deliver something iconic, and with that comes height and density and all those other things. And then a community that really knows that that investment is needed and that there's going to have to be trade-offs, and then a government that also knows that that investment is needed, but creating a place that ticked all the boxes, I guess, and fulfilled all of those objectives came about by basically saying, well, not what does Scarborough need, not what does Perth need, but what does Western Australia need? So how is this project going to deliver community benefit at a state level, really? And there was a lot of fixed things in that project, like it was going to be residential, it was going to be hotel, etc. But what was going to top and tail that project to get it from just being a big tall building that no one would really want to actually, well, what's in it for me? And that was about working with Tourism WA, with the state government, with local government, about understanding, well, what are the gaps in Perth's offer, in Western Australia's offer, noting that Scarborough is a strategic destination for Perth. So we went on a journey with the community and with stakeholders well ahead of lodging a DA, because most of the time these developers only think about engaging with the community through a statutory process, so consulting, not engaging. So we worked with them in doing that, and also, I guess, elevating the conversation around the role of precincts in creating vibrancy, etc. And we came up with, I guess, the two anchor uses for the precinct, which was around the sky viewing tower at the top of the building and the proposed delivery of a WA Coastal Experience Centre, which will anchor the bottom of the building, and that's all around supporting tourism, supporting tour operators, establishing Scarborough as a real retail tourism hub and destination and origin point. So that was interesting in that, you know, when they came to us, it was an architect-led project, where all they'd really thought about was how the towers were going to look. Not much thought around the ground floor. So we worked with them around reorienting, I guess, all of the key destinations, establishing a bit of a hierarchy there and understanding how those would all interrelate to each other, and then essentially weaving a vision and a story, and then, you know, recommending the uses and activities that needed to be delivered to fulfil that. And ultimately that, it went a long way to MRA's reconsideration of that project in terms of, okay, we're satisfied now that you understand the magnitude of what you're asking for and the magnitude of what you actually need to deliver from a place perspective. So that was an interesting one.